Did you know choosing a lawyer based on price alone may cost you a great deal in the end? This is Christina Williams with Just Criminal Law.
And David Mann, legal storytelling specialist. All right, so yeah, this is probably the story of you get what you pay for, right?
Right. I mean, that stands true for most things in life, and it definitely stands true for your investment in your defense. And when you are deciding who to hire, don't make that decision just based on another attorney being maybe 25% less, because you're going to get at least that much less in services and outcomes. And here's why. So, at our firm, we are not the cheapest, we're not the least expensive attorney in town, but with our office, you get the combined experience of attorneys that have been practicing law for decades, an investigator who's been investigating crime for decades. And so the very beginning of the case is the most important pivotal point when the work needs to happen and evidence needs to be preserved. And you really do need a team who is proactive instead of reactive.
Okay, maybe say a little more about that, proactive versus reactive. So a lawyer that's less expensive would do what, for instance?
They would wait to see what the prosecutor wants to do. They would wait to see what the evidence is. They would wait to decide whether or not to start preparing for trial. And you know, a lot of times if they have less number of years experience, they just haven't been through the process enough to know what's going to happen next and how easy it is to build the case on the front end instead of waiting until the very end and waiting until you get a terrible plea offer or your client is looking at years in jail before you decide to act.
So I bet you have seen this play out where someone went the wrong direction on this, went for the low price, and then maybe tell us a story of what could happen.
Yeah, so we have an example right now where someone wants us to help them reduce their sentence because they went with an attorney with less experience that was much less expensive. And the attorney really didn't know what to say or how to prepare the client. And so from the time that the client was charged with the crime, the client kept doing things that made their situation much more worse. And by the time it was time to take a plea bargain, they pled guilty and they continued to do these things that were putting themselves further and further in the hole. And so instead of advising the client on what to do, what to stop doing, and how to start preparing for it, the potential to be sentenced. And in this particular case, the person ended up getting 10 years in jail when they should have not gotten 0 days in jail. And so because they weren't prepared, because the attorney didn't know how to address the prosecutor's concerns, the court's concerns, and rehabilitate the person so that they could put their best foot forward, they're now looking at spending 10 years in jail unless we can help them reduce that sentence.
So, okay, so they're going to end up having to spend more money on a lawyer than they would have in the first place because now they've got to have 2, it sounds like, in succession. And there's still no guarantee you're going to get them out of this 10-year sentence, right?
Yes, it's probably more likely that they won't get out of the 10-year sentence than they will get it reduced. So it's really difficult once that sentence has been pronounced to get it reduced. It's not impossible, but again, now they're going to have to present themselves and work hard to show that they've made a change in their life. Now, whether or not the judge will second guess the 10-year sentence that was given when they were in front of him the last time is, it's a coin toss, and I don't like the odds.
Okay, well, so when someone is looking for their criminal defense lawyer, they're going to be faced with a couple of choices, like we're saying here. Is there do you charge by the hour? Is it a project fee? How do you actually do this?
Right. So because we've done this thousands and thousands of times, I'm able to quote a flat fee that will cover the expenses, cover the time, and the client isn't going to be billed and wonder when the billing's going to stop. It is a flat fee, it's upfront, and then if we go to trial, there is a trial fee. And some attorneys, they'll just say, hey, we're going to give you this flat fee. This is all you'll pay, beginning to end, even if it goes to trial. And just from observation, what I can say is those are the attorneys that don't end up in trial. I don't see them taking cases to trial. And you can imagine why. They really have no incentive to go to trial. In fact, they're going to have to put more work into the case for a fee that was less that they agreed to. And so it really creates this conflict of interest between the attorney and the client, because the attorney doesn't want to spend more time, but the client wants the best outcome possible. And so our fees are transparent, they're upfront, and everybody knows going into it, this is what it will cost before trial, and if we go to trial, this is what it'll cost. Now, I will say most cases do not end up in trial, but if we need to go to trial, we do not hesitate to do that.
Yeah, because going to trial, I mean, from my experience working with you and other firms, that can really, if it turns out right, there is no sentence, nothing. The person is completely acquitted. But if there is no trial, then sometimes there is some kind of penalty, even maybe it's reduced, but it's not nothing, right?
Right, and so don't think for 1 minute that the prosecutors don't recognize which attorneys might go to trial and which ones are probably not going to go to trial, and the plea offers are given accordingly, as you can imagine.
All right. Well, I think, again, we've made a strong case for giving you a call. So how might someone get in touch with you?
Sure, we'll include a link in the description where they can call, text, or chat with a member of my team anytime, day or night. Here at Just Criminal Law, we know you only get one shot at justice, so make yours count.